Hi guys, Saturday morning up the farm. I did all the feeder fields yesterday, but during this time, when the carp's activity is greater, water temperature's higher, fish are moving a lot, I actually give them quite an increase in carbohydrates via maize. So at the moment, I'm going to take you through the maize production process actually, because I think it's something that people don't do very well, and all it ends up being is something which is just passed straight through the fish without them getting anything from it. But if maize is prepared properly, there's a huge amount of carbohydrates and starches released from maize. And at this time of year, when the natural environment is producing a huge amount of natural food itself, so very high amounts of protein, you can actually reduce the protein content in your pellet feed or in what you're feeding from, external sources, but increasing in terms of carbohydrate will balance that out and gives them a bit more grub, and obviously it's a little bit cheaper. But I see so many people feeding with like just split maize, it's just been soaked and it just doesn't do the job. So I'm going to show you that anyway. I've got about 50 kilos of prepped maize here. I add garlic. It's another thing I'm going to talk about in another video of how to add the garlic, because if you boil it with the garlic, you're denaturing a lot of the very important parts of the garlic that are super important for the health and well-being of the fish. So I'll talk about that in another little video. What's exciting is I'm heading up to my good mate Benoit's fish farm. I'm going to show you it when I get up there, because it's like the ultimate setup for anyone that's into fish farming. I'll show you it when we get up there. It's pretty special. But I'm going out with Benoit. We're going out for dinner, or going out for lunch, and we're going to discuss some business opportunities. The two lakes that I did the survey of, I've not heard back from the owners there. We did a proposition to them, as I'd said back at the time, which was the development of their fishery, but in the first 5 years, to help Fensmere produce more fish. I'm limited because I'm limited by space. I'm limited by lakes and water. So I can only really produce about 150 fish per year. And this year, for instance, I've had multiple people have contacted me for fish, and I've not been able to provide them. And I'm not one of these guys that's going to say, yeah, we can do it, and then drop them in it come winter time, because then they can't source other fish. So my chat with Benoit, he's got multiple lakes up there, is to do an offshoot of Fensmere Fish Farm, but with the same principles and standards that I use here, so that fishery owners know that they're getting my fish basically, because I'll be producing them until they're cormorant safe up into at the end of their second summer, so C2s, and they're around that sort of £5 mark. Anywhere from 4 to 6 these fish are reaching at the end of their second summer. So I can produce them, enough of them at that size, to then be able to take 200 or 300 of them up into the Brenne region, into more lakes there, and then we can continue that. So I can basically increase production to maybe another 300 fish every year once they're up to size. So we're looking at 450 to 500 fish production per year, which is fantastic. So I'll keep you up to speed. I'll give a little video when I get up there and show you, because it is an amazing site, and we'll go from there. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye bye. All right guys, so here we are. We're up in the Brenne region, and this is what a proper fish farm looks like. Absolutely mega. I'll take you on a little journey round. This is also a fishing lake. He has one of his fishing lakes here as well, Patillerie. Great lake, full of fish, but a stunning place, and a really well set out. I'll take you on a little walk round and show you about. But again, if Carlsberg did fish farms, this one's probably up there with about the best you get. So I'll take you on a little tour. All right, so as you can see, these are holding tanks and holding ponds. Super easy to manage. You basically just pull the whole thing back up over here, and then your fish are collected in there. Super system, all floodlit, so you can work at night. Floodlit and water. Water there comes straight into your tanks, so you drive your vehicle up here, and you can fill up all of your tanks. Electricity all round, absolutely sorted. Obviously aeration on here. Bloody brilliant. Looking forward to seeing the old boy. I haven't seen Benoit for a while, since this last winter. Hopefully he's doing all right. Little look out here. Again, multiple tanks, multiple transport systems here as well. You know, just so well set up, so well organised. Again, this sort of stuff is what I need to have all around the Fensmere site. All the tanks being cleaned and sterilised. But each of these, this is just one of his sites. So this particular site is, as I say, up Patillerie, where he's got his fish. But each area has its own feeders, super monk system to be able to drain them straight out. Multiple different tanks on oxygenation and aeration. He's got another one beyond here, so just a fantastic system. These are all new in, so really good to see. Yeah, bloody marvellous. Again, this is how it should be done. I'm going to take you out and have a little look at the lake at Patillerie as well, because that's fantastic. So here we are out on the main point swim. This is the social point swim of Patillerie. About a 24 acres, I believe. I did do some drone footage. I have fished here back a few years ago now, and it's a lovely water to fish. Quite a prolific lake. You can, groups here can have upwards of 100 fish in a week. But this point's fantastic. A little bit of shelter. Obviously, you can get all set up back here. Have multiple anglers covering pretty much all the water. Fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, great stuff. And this is one of the bigger lakes here. I think this is over 30 acres, and just another absolute fantastic Brenne water. These are super rich up here in the Brenne, and they're, the Brenne region is the area of just thousands of lakes, and the area of fish farming in France. So these lakes are all purpose made, most of them, and they're very shallow, very productive, very fertile, and produce a lot of fish. This is another cracker, destined to produce some big fish in the future for sure. All right, so we've had a business meeting, and as all outdoorsy types do after a business meeting, we've come to do some ball trap shooting, which is a first for me. So this is going to be quite exciting and quite fun. I'll keep you posted as they all take the piss out of this idiot trying to shoot things. But we'll keep you posted, see how it goes. Well, there we go. There we go. Look, a little bit of clay trap shooting here, and I was rubbish. But both Benoit and Loris here were shooting shit down like it was going out of fashion, and they've got loads of drink to be drunk. So we're going to head off and go and drink it. Morning. It's a Sunday morning after a lovely day yesterday. Meeting up with Benoit and Loris up in the Brenne. Some really good discussions on sort of trying to take the Fensmere stock a bit further and being able to produce more fish, and also being able to work alongside Benoit to help develop his carp breeding process and fish as well, because they're a different strain. And so, it's quite exciting for me to be able to think about, producing new fish and crosses. He has full facilities there, breeding facilities, so we can strip fish, we can actually start looking at creating specific lines and specific scale patterns as well. So something really exciting, gets me buzzed. So as promised, I'm going to show you how I produce my maize. Again, so many people, especially French fish farmers, feed with just a crushed maize. There's no cooking involved or anything. They literally just feed with a crushed maize. Well, it's really not unlocking a lot of that potential. And even though during the summer, when the fish's enzyme activity is at an optimal level with higher water temperatures, they're not really getting the best out of that maize. To get the best from it, when we cook it, we release all those starches and sugars, which during the summer, fish are more active. They need more energy, just like human beings, and they need more carbohydrates. So we can reduce the amount of protein slightly because they're getting a huge amount of protein naturally from the lake, because you know, the production of bloodworm and especially over here small crays, etc., is massive, and they're eating a huge amount of that and getting probably a good sort of 80% of their protein from them sources, natural sources. So it means we can reduce that a little bit, which saves us a bit of money, add some more carbohydrate through the warmer months, gives the fish a little bit more energy. If they eat too much, there's a good chance it just gets converted into either fats or into growth. So I'm going to show you the process anyway, and this is how I produce it. Okay, so it's a real simple process. Most are again going to be telling people how to suck eggs, but people don't do it right, in my opinion, and you get a substandard quality of production, and it's much harder for the fish to process, and really it's just giving them a bit of roughage rather than giving them the goodness that they need. So just to show you, I've got one big bin here full of soaking. I soak it for 24 hours, and this is just whole maize. It's just a whole maize, whole maize, but dehydrated. So I soak it for 24 hours. I then put it across to my Burco. Now the key here is not to overfill, because obviously there's massive expansion from that dry state. Even after 24 hours of soaking, it's nowhere near at its full state. So I fill to about here with maize, and then fill the whole thing up with water. I then put the Burco on full, and let it basically, it goes until it trips out because there's no water in there. And it's soaked all the way through that maize, and it's expanded massively, but it hasn't expanded fully at that stage still. It will probably be up to about here, from down here, some sort of just over halfway. It'll come up to about here by the time you finish the boiling process. Then while it's still hot and maintaining heat in there, I fill that right up to the very top with water, put the lid on and allow it to go overnight. Now, in terms of boiling, that's probably going for about an hour, hour and a half. So a long boiling process, yeah? It's not just a simple 20 minutes and leave it. It just doesn't cut the mustard for me. It's not a quality product. So that's what I do. The next morning I come in, we get something that looks like this. A gloopy mass, yeah? Look at all the starches, look at all the carbohydrate that's in that. And we're talking stuff which is just super soft. It just breaks up, yeah? It literally, you can crush it into this. Now that, to me, is a perfect maize. It's, it doesn't take them a huge amount of effort to process that and crush it down in their pharangeals. It goes through their system really quickly, and it's perfect. So by the time I get here in the morning, I fill that up. Once it's filled up with water, it's gone to this stage. I then basically add my garlic. Now there's a reason for this. Now I use this, which is a horse product, because it's much cheaper in a bulk form. I nick it off my wife, or I get her to order it. If I nick it off her, I get a slap. So I get her to order that in. I'll just show you that's a farmer horse quality product for equine use. Now I use 4 of these. 4 of these, let me show you. I use 4 of them to a whole Burco. I think it's a 20 litre Burco. So 4 of them to a 20 litre Burco, and I allow that then to sit for the next day. And it absorbs into that, and we've got garlic maize. Okay. So we've got the garlic maize. The reason I do it like this was after consultation and chatting with Billy Berridge. So I used to actually add whole cloves of garlic. My good mate Wayne Cooper grows garlic, and any of his offs and things that he didn't want or didn't work out, wasn't quite good enough, he would give to me. I'd crush them under my feet, couple of big heads of garlic, chuck them in and cook them through. Now, you get a lovely smelling garlic bait, obviously very natural, full of natural garlics, but the boiling process, when you're boiling garlic, it kills one of the main elements of garlic, which is fantastic for the fish, which is the lysine. And the lysine is what gives the fish is really good for their immune system. It's really good for their health. And so therefore, instead of denaturing that by boiling it out for an hour and a half, and then you really haven't got the quality of that product, Still got lots of good stuff in garlic. It's still going to be very beneficial, but it's not optimal. So I add it now once it's just warm. There's no heat in it. And then I add that, mix it all round, and then leave it. So hopefully I'm getting the very best from the garlic for my fish, and I'm getting the very best addition of the maize, cooked properly. And there's other ways to do it. You don't have to use electric like this. I know a lot of people do it on like a fire with a big 40-gallon drum and let it cook out that way. For me, again, this is just very easy. It's worked really well for me. I know it's going to cost me an electricity, but it works really well and does the job. I can still be doing other things. I don't have to keep coming back, stoking a fire and keeping that going. So anyway, I thought I'd show you that process because it's something that people don't get right. And I think especially when people feed maize in the winter, which I've tried to say this, is not a good option. Fish cannot process maize very well in the winter. Do not feed maize in the winter. It's going to lead to more spring mortality. Just because it's cheap don't mean it's good. And just because people have done it for years doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So, but if you are still going to feed maize because you don't believe what I'm telling you or think I'm talking out my arse, cook it like that, please, because otherwise if you're feeding it in a raw, harder state, it's going to be problematic for them fish. It's going to cause them gastro or intestinal issues because they've got to pass that through in a very slow manner because they're not working optimally at those lower temperatures. So anyway, just a few bits on maize. Hope they're helpful. I'll catch you. Bye-bye.